Hello again, it's time for your free psychic reading for May the 18th, Saturday, May the 18th, for 7 days ahead. Welcome to my beautiful home in beautiful North Devon in the UK, in England and the UK. And a special welcome to those of you who are on your own or have been left lonely at the moment. I have here a pack of cards divided into 4 stacks. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you've been with me before, you'll know the routine. I'd like you to pick a number for your reading, for your free reading. General reading, of course, tarot cards only. So 1, 2, 3 or 4. If you'd like to pause the video while you decide, that's fine. Okay, so if you made your choice, we'll start with number 1. And if you pick number 4 or 3, you can run the video on. You don't have to listen to all this if you don't want to. But this is for you, number 1. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon and you'll receive a notification every time I put a new video on, which is at least once a week for the weeklies and once a month for the monthly readings. So I'll shuffle these. Although they've been shuffled, these are very old cards. All of these decks are old except for that one and that one. But they're old, they've been with me many years, done thousands of readings all over the planet. So, number 1. Some of you will be looking for work and have been for quite some time, I believe. And I think you've been making it hard because sometimes when you apply for these jobs, the people don't even bother contacting you to let you know whether you've failed or passed. But next week you may find things change because some of you will be offered jobs and some of you will be offered improvement in the jobs you're in. And if you work for yourselves, some of you will be offered new contracts and people will be calling you, asking you to use your skills for them. So it's a good week for work. But as often in these cases, the warnings are, don't overdo it. Don't say yes to too many people and block up your diary if you work for yourself. Don't say yes to everybody at work just to please them because you'll never really please everybody all the time. There are a few negatives for you, number 1. One is, as I said, don't work too hard. Then there are some dodgy people around some of you who may be a bit nasty behind your back. That can be something you could do without, and you may know who they are. And some of you, not all of you, but some of you will have had this in the past. So expect deceit, trickery and some nastiness for some of you in the background. This could be from family members, in-laws or people like that. People that disapprove of you and maybe people that disapprove of your relationship. Look out for it, watch out for it, and as I always say, if you don't tell people your business, they can't do you much harm. There is a lot of stress around a lot of you, which is common these days. In all of these readings we seem to get stressed, but some of you next week, number 1, are stressed to the limit and you cannot bend forever. If you bend a cane for long enough, it'll snap. So that means you're not sleeping well as well. And this is signified by this card as well as lots of other meanings, but that card can mean that you're alone at night with just your worries for company. But look out for stress. If you're not sleeping, it's probably because you're anxious about something, and it's probably something that you don't need to worry about at all. The positives are career is good, and I believe it's positive for lots of you that there are new beginnings. You're putting some of your rubbish into the past. Some of your bad habits are being removed. Some of you are removing friends that weren't too loyal. Some of you may be rubbing people off Facebook and that kind of thing. You're removing past negatives and stepping forward into a brand new future, a lot of you. This can be really big for some of you, not all of you, but some of you are ending, well, it's the end of an era. You're ending one phase of your life, it's finished, you don't want it back, don't ever let it back, move on now to something new. It's not the most wonderful reading in the world, but there are no real bad warnings and no nastiness. And you're finding that things are changing for you, number 1. And of course, there are some lucky numbers for you. You may want to get a pen. You may have a pen already. Your lucky numbers, number 1, for the week commencing the 18th, Saturday the 18th of May for 7 days. The first number is number 1. Then we have number 2. Then 24. And your special magic number, your prize number for next week is 35. So 35 may seem significant to you already. Then you have 38 and 43. So they're your lucky numbers for next week. Number 1, if you're doing lotteries or anything to do with numbers, and most of life is about numbers, of course. So to sum up, watch out for nastiness in the background, especially if you're girls out there, you're females, you ladies. There could be some bitchiness around you, and it will be from more than one person. There are maybe 1 or 2 or a group of people, and there may be some bullying going on as well. And if you're younger, it's more likely to happen. And I believe, again, that some of you have had that in the past. You don't need it. We can't always stop it, but try to avoid people who are a bit overpowering, bullying, or you feel you can't really trust for some reason because you're probably right. Use your intuition. Don't overdo it. Stop pushing water uphill, as I always say, and look out for a brand new beginning. It's a good week, number 1, for most of you, but some of you are worrying unnecessarily. Something's on your mind, and worrying about it won't change it. I always say you can put the gas bill behind the clock on the mantelpiece and worry about it for 6 weeks, and it's still there, so what's the point? Easy for me to say. New jobs are coming for some of you, new contracts, and possibly new friends as well. Some of you, as I mentioned earlier, are ditching some of the friends who thought they were friends, but they've turned out not to be genuine. So you may be wise to let them go. And if you do let them go, really let them go. Don't get back later in a year's time or something, because it won't work. I'll give you your lucky numbers again, number 1, and your first number is number 1. Then number 2, 24, your magic number is 35. And then you have 38 and 43. They're your lucky numbers, number 1, for the week commencing May the 18th, 2019, for 7 days. Thank you very much for joining me. If you want a proper psychic reading using all the stuff, the divination tools, crystal ball, crystals, all the usual stuff, spirit guides, mediumship, then please go to davidcharlespsychic.com. That's my website, davidcharlespsychic.com, and I'll read to you from anywhere in the world. Thank you for listening, and now we'll move on to number 2. Just put these away for you. So if you chose number 2, this is for you. Right. I'll give these a shuffle again. As I said, they've been shuffled once. Thank you for joining me if you ran on to number 2. Especially those of you who are alone or have been left lonely. You're very welcome here. And these videos are posted once a week. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon and you'll get notified every time I upload a new video, which is once a week for the weeklies and at least once a month as well for monthlies. So number 2. First of all, some of you are dealing with solicitors, officialdom, accountants, and sometimes the police, the legal profession. So look out for that if you're signing documents, quite common in these readings. Be careful what you're signing. You may already have problems with this in the past. Some of you are dealing with negativity, and that means that the spirit world is advising you to remove your negatives, cigarettes, that sort of thing, excessive drinking. If you're mixing with negative people, then don't, especially next week. The following week may be different, but remove negatives next week, the 18th of May onwards, for 7 days. Some of you will be dealing with the law, the tax man, accountants. Maybe you're getting bills from officials, parking tickets, that sort of thing. Speed cameras, watch out for that. Not all legal stuff is bad. You may be dealing with the law because you're moving house and signing papers and documents. As I always say, be careful what you're signing. Make sure you know what it means. If you don't know what it means, don't be afraid to ask an expert. Watch what you're signing next week. Now, a lot of you seem to be looking in the mirror and thinking, is that it? It feels like there's something missing. And quite often, number 2, when something feels like it's missing, it's actually love that's missing. And there's not a lot of love in this reading. That doesn't mean none of you are in love. But it can mean that some of you are giving out love and not getting any love in. And it can also mean that you're getting love in, but you're not giving any out. So there's an imbalance in your love stakes. Lots of you, number 2, are pregnant. Lots of you are trying to become pregnant. And if you are, then it's all about timing, as I say all the time. Life's about timing. If you want to try for a baby, next week's a good week. There'll be plenty of other weeks, but next week's a good week if you're trying for a baby. If you're having a baby, you may find you're having it next week, so it may be early, or you may be having it a bit late. May not be the timing you've thought of. A lot of you will be feeling spiritual next week. It's a spiritual month for lots of you. Number 2, this means that quite a few of you will have psychic ability. You'll be surrounded by spirit guides, and you'll have so many spirit guides, but all of you, without exception, will have one main spirit guide. Could be your dad, your mum, or someone really close. Someone maybe you've lost some time ago. Your main spirit guide next week, number 2, will be highly active. They're watching you, they're looking after you, they're loving you and taking care of you. So listen to your spirit guides. Listen to the feelings inside you, in your heart. Follow your instincts. If you're psychic anyway, you'll know exactly what I mean. Some of you will be seeking out psychic readings or psychic people. Some of you go to psychic events and that sort of thing, maybe psychic parties. But it's a good week for psychic stuff. If you have spirit guides, talk to them. They're not there for fun, they're there to look after you. If you have a spirit guide in the house and you feel you're seeing ghosts and spirits in the building or feeling them, please do not be afraid. These spirits are there to look after you. They're there to love you, protect you. They may have been there when you moved into the house. They're not there to threaten you. You're very lucky to have them. There's no record in history anywhere of anyone being hurt by spirits. That is Hollywood movie rubbish. Spirits will not harm you. They're there to look after you. So if you've got spirits around that you don't know, that you don't feel are relatives that have passed away or friends, then they may be with the building that you live in, and they may be there to look after you because they haven't moved on yet. So cherish them, speak to them. They can hear you. They won't harm you. Some of you have new beginnings next week. You're changing jobs. Some of you are changing your lovers. Maybe you've been seeing 2 people at once. But you're deciding upon one next week. Some of you, as I said, have this emptiness inside, a feeling that something is missing. If that's the case, it's normally love that's missing. Now, 1 or 2 of you next week, number 2, will be seeking out medical advice. This could be from a GP, your local medical practitioner, a specialist, a consultant. It could be the dentist. You're seeking out advice from somebody who is in a caring profession. So it could be the local vicar. But you're seeking out advice from someone who knows what they're talking about. So when you ask their advice, listen to it. And if you get advice without asking for it, listen to it anyway. Watch out for officialdom, and you'll find some of you there's a little bit of money coming. I don't think it's a massive amount, but there are new beginnings. And you have, number 2, excuse me, some lucky numbers. Let's see your lucky numbers are number 7, number 16, 22, 25. Your star number, your magic number, number 2, is 31. That's for next week. And you also have your ordinary lucky number, 38. So, I hope you've written that down. You can always run the tape back. Look out for legal stuff, officialdom, remove negatives if you can, get rid of negative habits, keep away from negative people. They really will bring you down, especially next week. This is from May the 18th, 2019, Saturday for 7 days. Talk to your spirit guides. If you're having babies, it's a great week for you. If you've not long had a baby, the same applies. It's a lovely week. You may be getting family and friends round visiting to see the new baby. Some of you will be seeing doctors, caring people, people in that sort of profession. I'll just repeat your lucky numbers again, number 2. And they are 7, 16, 22, 25. Your star number, your magic number is 31. And then 38. So, if you chose number 2, that was for you. And I'm going to move on to number 3 after this short 10-second break. See you then. Hello again. Well, that was more like a 13-second break just to plug my website, and which is, of course, davidcharlespsychic.com. If you want a proper psychic reading with me on the telephone from anywhere in the world, go to davidcharlespsychic.com and I'll read for you a proper reading with all the equipment, the divination tools, not just tarot cards, which are quite limited really. So we did number 1 and 2. You were asked to choose 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you chose stack number 3, this is for you. Let's see how we go. This is for May the 18th. Saturday, May the 18th is 7 days. Again, a special welcome to you if you're lonely tonight or today, or if you're watching this on your own because you've been made lonely. I'm shuffling these cards, which have been done already, but they're being done again. As I said, these are very old tarot cards. They've been with me many years and done thousands of readings all over the world. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon and you'll receive notification every time I upload a new video, which is once a week for the weeklies, at least once a month for the monthlies and other things. And number 3, you have some interesting stuff. First of all, the negatives. Temptation is coming to you, as it does frequently with all of us. But next week, a lot of you, number 2, will be presented with temptation, which means that you may be tempted to do something a bit naughty or something you wouldn't normally do. And it can also mean that you're tempted to say something that you may regret, so don't. So if you're in a romance, don't be tempted to stray and do things you shouldn't. Don't be tempted to stray and do things that you wish you hadn't. Temptation comes almost as if it's testing us out. Now, there are also signs that the person you're seeing or your lover may be tempted as well. So be a little bit on your guard, don't be paranoid, but make sure your lover or your friends are not being tempted to, well, betray you or let you down. One of your friends is really solid. It's a person who you can trust. They may work with you, it's not a certainty, but they may be linked to your career. And some of you will be dealing with this person in a very frank way, and you're sort of leaning on this person for a bit of comfort and help and guidance next week, number 3. And next week, number 3, some of you will be highly fertile, and as you know, that can mean babies and things, but it also means growth. It means that things are taking off for you. New jobs, new experiments, new friendships, new hobbies sometimes. It's a great week for starting all that kind of thing. It's a spiritual week for a lot of you, and a lot of you will be inspired by the stars. And I mean the stars up there, not the ones in the newspapers. The stars will be inspiring you, and a lot of you will be into that kind of thing. And a lot of you will be interested in what the stars mean for you because you'll be working them out. Some of you are making life much more difficult than it should be, and 1 or 2 of you are reeling from being hurt in a romance. And this may not have been recent. It could have been recent, but it could have been a long time ago. And some of you are being a bit guarded who you let close to you when it comes to love, romance, and including friendships as well, because you're fed up with being let down. So that's when you may go to this person who I mentioned earlier, who you can trust, a person who is there for you no matter what happens. Of course, as I always say, they will expect the same in return, so you need to be the same with them, because one day they may come to you asking you for a shoulder to cry on. Some of you are pregnant, number 3. Some of you are trying to be pregnant, quite common these days in these readings. Lots of you are psychic, lots of you are using your psychic ability, and lots of you are overdoing it and making life harder than it should be around your home, not just at work. Around the home, you're making things hard. You don't need to. There may be some bickering at home, maybe some arguing at home with your partner or your children or your family. Lots of family arguments are predicted next week for some of you, and they will not get you anywhere. It's no good thinking they'll clear out the rubbish, because they won't. Not in this particular case. Maybe the week after, yes, but not next week. So try to avoid family conflict. If you're going to barbecues or weddings or anything like that, steer clear of trouble and a bit of bickering in the family. Some of you are buying pets or having pets, and some of you are looking after your pets, or maybe having to put in the kennels or somewhere when you go away for a few days, because some of you will be going away for a few days next week. But unfortunately, number 3, a lot of you are shown to be in triangles, which means 3-way romances. You may be being 2-timed. Please don't think this applies to all of you. Tarot cards are, as I said, limited. If you want a proper reading, go to my website, davidcharlespsychic.com, for a proper psychic reading, and I'll read to you from anywhere in the world. But some of you next week are, unfortunately, victims of triangles, which can mean that your partner's seeing another person, another man or another woman. But it can also mean interference from other people. His friends down the pub may be interfering. Her friends at work may be interfering with your romance. Maybe a bit of jealousy around. But it can also mean your mother-in-law causing trouble, or your future mother-in-law who doesn't want to be your future mother-in-law. So watch out for that. A lot of you will be psychic next week, and a lot of you are psychic. It will be on a high next week. And number 3, you have some lucky numbers. So your lucky numbers for next week, number 3, are 11, 18, 26, and your star number, your magic number next week, is 36. Then you have 40, 4 and 50. So write them down. I'll give you again in a minute. So to sum up, number 3, don't get making life difficult at home. Don't get making life difficult at work either, but particularly at home, when I can see some bickering, maybe some arguing, and you don't want to fall out with the person you love most, and you don't want to fall out with the people you love the most, because you do love them, and they're close, and you need to keep them close next week, because something may be coming along to niggle you and sort of try you out, to see if you respond to arguments. These things can happen sometimes. A lot of you will be inspired by the stars in the sky, the real stars. A lot of you will be having babies next week. Some of you will be having babies or becoming pregnant next week. It's good, especially if you're trying on purpose, of course. You'll be tempted to do things you may regret. A lot of you, not all of you, will be tempted to say things you may regret, so don't. And you'll be leaning on the shoulder of a close friend, man or woman. I'm not sure which, depends which you are, I suppose, but if you're a man, it's probably going to be a man. If you're a lady, it's probably a lady. But it's a close friend. You can lean on them. Don't be frightened to call them if you need some advice. And of course, if you need a proper psychic reading, call me from my website, davidcharlespsychic.com. So number 4, I'll give you your lucky numbers again before you go. Number 3, sorry. Your lucky numbers, number 3, are 11, 18, 26, and your magic number, your star number, is 36. That's your special number next week. And then you have 44 and 50. They're your lucky numbers, number 3, for next week. The week commencing the 18th of May, Saturday the 18th of May, for 7 days. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. And if you want me, go to my website. Now then, thank you for waiting, number 4. If you ran it on to number 4, this is for you. This is for the week commencing May the 18th, Saturday, May the 18th, 7 days. Welcome especially to you if you're lonely or on your own this evening or today. If you've been left lonely by somebody, special welcome to you. Welcome to all of you. This is number 4 for the next 7 days. Please subscribe, number 4, to my website and click the bell icon if you want notification when I place some new videos, which is once a week for these weekly readings and once a month at least for monthlies. Number 4, some of you are a bit stuck in a rut next week. You feel like you're trapped. It's a feeling you had before, and it is just a feeling. Some of you are ignoring things that need dealing with. As I said earlier to number 1, I think it was, if the gas bill arrives, don't stick it on the mantelpiece, ignore it and worry about it for weeks on end. Try and deal with it if you can. That's a terrible example, but if things need your attention next week, then please deal with them, because you're going to need to, otherwise it will get on your nerves. Now some of you, number 4, not all of you, but some of you are a bit depressed at the moment, a bit down in the dumps. Depression may be too strong a word, but some of you are a bit down, a bit fed up. Some of you have been let down and you're fed up with that as well. 1 or 2 of you have been left by someone that you love. And I think 1 or 2 of you have been left by someone that you didn't realise you loved until they left you. And now you believe it's too late. Well, it may not be. If you want a proper psychic reading, go to my website, davidcharlespsychic.com, and you can get a proper reading over the phone with me from anywhere in the world. But if you're feeling down next week, don't cry over spilt milk. That's the main thing, because you can't change the past. You can, however, change the future with a proper psychic reading. Now, some of you are going to be made offers of romance. Romantic offers are coming for lots of you. Some of you may have been waiting for this to happen because you quite like this person, and it's a person that may at last show some interest in you, because you've probably dropped a few hints anyway along the way. So a lot of you will be offered things romantic. Somebody may buy you some flowers or ask you out on a date. And if they don't, then it's time you ask them, because it's getting a bit long now. But there is romance in the air for lots of you. Lots of you are travelling, and some of you are travelling abroad. Good week for that. And if you're not travelling next week, number 4, it's a great week for you to choose somewhere, get the brochures out, choose somewhere that you'd like to go, and possibly book it, but book it with someone you can trust, someone reputable. And there are other offers next week. Somebody that's linked to success, possibly finance, will make an offer to you. So it could be to do with work, it could be just friendship. It's a bright, colourful person who is making some kind of offer to you. I've already dealt with the romantic offers that are coming, but there's another kind of offer as well. Some kind of offer is coming to you which is really good, and it may help increase your income, your financial situation. A lot of you feel stuck in a rut. A lot of you feel like you're walking on treacle. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's just a feeling, it's not real, as I said earlier. But the biggest thing in this reading is the Ace of Cups, which really, if you look at playing cards, is the Ace of Hearts. The Ace of Cups indicates, as number 1 would suggest, brand new lovers. Brand new starts with your love life. Time for falling in love. Some of you will be head over heels in love like a schoolgirl or a schoolboy with a crush. If it's not a new lover for you next week, number 4, it will be your present love life becoming very much more intense. So it's a great week for lovers. If you want to find true love next week, first, a lot of you are going to get romantic offers anyway, as I said. Lots of you will be falling in love and really letting yourself go, because some of you, of course, have been very defensive for quite a long time. And it's time for lots of you, not all of you, but it's time for lots of you to lower your defenses, to let yourself fall in love, especially if it's someone new, because it's time you were loved in return. And that's what's indicated. As I keep saying, life's about timing. This may not occur the week after next. Join me next week here and we'll see for next week's reading. But I'll give you your lucky numbers, number 4. Your lucky numbers are 19, 20, 28. Your magic number is 38, 46 and 49. So, give you those again in case you didn't get a pen. 19, these are your lucky numbers for May the 18th for 7 days. 19, 20, 28, 38 is your magic number. That's your special number next week. 38, you may know why. 46 and 49. So number 4, expect romance. Expect new romance. Some of you expect romance from someone you've fancied for quite some time, who've been dithering around, and if they don't come forward next week, then it's time for you to go to them. Maybe you should ask them out. Be a bit assertive. Lots of you will be booking holidays. Lots of you will be travelling next week. Some of you will be travelling because of your work. Don't get crying over spilt milk. Don't get crying at all. Crying over spilt milk is, of course, symbolic. It doesn't mean real tears. Lots of you will receive offers from a successful person who may be looking for you with something he or she wants you to do. Don't get stuck in a rut, and don't ignore things that need your attention, number 4. The nicest thing about you, number 4, next week is love is in the air. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things you can get in a psychic reading. True love is coming to you if you're assertive and you take a chance next week. Thank you for looking at me for this reading, number 4, listening to all this. And please subscribe. And if you need me, go to davidcharlespsychic.com for a proper psychic reading from anywhere in the world. And thanks all of you for listening today. This is for May the 18th, Saturday, May the 18th for 7 days. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.